Hey guys, it's Alan. Welcome back to the channel. Today I wanted to address a big old congratulations to Texas, Maryland, and Arizona for lifting the bans on this whole thing. I think kudos to you, and I must say on behalf of myself at least, and probably from the divine, good work. Freedom is a very important thing for all people, and this idea that you can't breathe air and you must be afraid of something that is just a virus is ludicrous, but I'm glad that the world is starting to wake up to it and start to fight for their rights again. And I actually was censored on something I had said recently, and it was taken down because even though I had taken the information off of their own website, that they said that they don't allow misinformation, even though it was from them. But okay, y'all know we play by the rules. They can do whatever they want, so we'll see if this actually stands. But I wanted to speak to the fact that I really am really happy to hear and see that that the collective is kind of starting to fight for their freedom again. And as you'll see, there might be a little bit of a backlash. They'll push back and inflate the numbers and stuff, but whatever. We can only do what we can do. But I just wanted to get on here and just let you all know that I thought it was pretty damn awesome. And it kind of speaks to what I wanted to do with my life. As many of you know, I've been redefining what my soul purpose would be. I've been kind of on a little spiritual journey, on a scavenger hunt, if you will. And now that I have my 9 keys and these rings, I'm kind of just looking at my life in a more optimistic and loving way. And so instead of focusing on the negativity and all of that stuff, y'all know I'm working really hard to start finding and identifying the next Malcolm X or the next person that's kind of been through hell and high water in their lifetimes and have decided to change their life that in a way that serves the collective in a very, very strong way. A lot of what I'd be looking for when I find the right partnership will be to put it on the air and talking about like people who have been through like horrible situations and decide to become like the next Van Gogh or the next pianist or the next, where they convert something toxic and negative and bring that darkness and create beauty and light. And I think that's the greatest testament to the divine, to God, to Allah. And so my whole life purpose is now about getting that off the ground and doing that and being very vocal about it so that people understand I'm not stopping till I'm done. I kind of get what I want in that way. No, I don't I do get what I want once I've decided. And I just want to start focusing on the beauty in life. Like, I was thinking like maybe a talk show and stuff like that. I'm like, yeah, well, I mean, that'd be cute, but it would be a very spiritual talk show. It would be something more geared, towards like an evangelical queen, if you will, and a like somebody who sat in the middle, like moderator, and then someone who was like maybe, I don't know, different denominations of different faiths, someone who's Jewish, someone who's, and just talking about stuff in a responsible and reasonable way. And I thought about it, I was like, well, that can lead to like bickering and all this stuff, and it's so divisive, but that's an idea. I have diamonds coming out my butt, y'all know that. But I decided that I would venture more in towards finding people who have ascended. And ascension, of course, being where you rise above the chaos and do something positive with your light that reflects God's love back to God, or Allah, whoever you believe in, right? And I thought that would be where my life purpose was. But just to kind of like speak to what I see happening for the world, because I'm going to succeed no matter what. For me, what it is finding the right team at this point, the right people who are willing to step up and start. Instead of doing like numbers and greed and stuff like that, I'm looking for a team that is going to put a program out there that is specifically targeting uplifting humanity, talking about stories that aren't like just good faith stories, but that have a message. A rape victim who learns to stand in her own power or his own power and convert something very toxic and negative, something very tragic, into something quite beautiful. That's where the future is. That's something that karma can associate itself with, because what it's doing is it's empowering someone who's been victimized to stand in their own power and lead their people free. And I find that to be incredibly powerful, right? So that's where my life path is going. And so I'm still looking actively for that team. And I especially like the idea of going to like third world countries and where women are suppressed and kind of dealing with human rights campaigns and issues like that. And everybody always says that there's nothing there other than just like a story for a news piece. I'm like, yeah, you don't understand how God works. The divine wants to see the beauty of humanity. We're not in rapture just by accident. We're here because of the fact that we have been just focused on money and greed, and look where it's gotten us. Now nobody can breathe except for in those 3 states. What? The freedom train, woo. And so for those states, they're finally going to be able to get back to life, and they're not wasting their opportunity at what they've been given in this reset. And though I'm sure the financial bastards that are behind all this are going to be all mad that they didn't make, what was it? On the low end, with the administrative cost, it would have been 33 for 8 countries, from the US, UK, France, Italy, Australia, China, Spain, and Germany. just in those countries, just so you know, those 8 countries, for administrative costs on the low end, they would have made $33,362,770,000 at least on administrative costs for administering the vaccines to everybody in those nations. On the high end, their total for administrative costs for a pandemic, which should be free, right? You would think that if we're a free world, that if it's that big of a deal, that you would do it for free. But no, the administrative costs would have been for the high end $56,242,880,000. Thank you, Texas, Arizona, and Maryland for waking up to that. And I was just thinking about what that took for them, those governors, those brave governors. I don't know much about them personally speaking. I'm not supposed to get into politics. But when it comes to freedom at all, it took a lot of balls for them to do that. And so I wanted to just point out some other very, very powerful people that did similar things. I don't know if you guys know who George Mason is, but he wrote the Virginia Declaration of Rights and influenced the U.S. Bill of Rights. Then there's Adabakwagana, who became a member of the Sons of Africa and argued against slavery using Christian philosophical argument. Yeah, that's thinking outside the box. Or how about Lucretia Mott, women's rights activist and abolitionists. That's a curse word in Spanish. You can edit me later. Elizabeth Cady Stanton, women's suffrage, women's rights leader. Or how about Lucy Stone, women's suffrage and human rights leader. Eugene Debs, organizer, campaigner for the poor, women, dissenters, and prisoners. I can't read my own handwriting sometimes. Once I get a prompt, it'll be like easier than trying to read a doctor's handwriting. I'm not a doctor, but I went to school for pharmacy, so I have that weird handwriting that's like ineligible. But I can read it. Or how about Mahatma Gandhi, the father of India? The Pan-Indian Freedom Movement leader. Or how about Willa Brown, civil rights activist, first African-American lieutenant in the U.S. Civil Air Patrol, and the first African-American woman to run for Congress. Did you know that? Or how about Harry Hay, early leader in American LGBT, well, I guess now it's Q, civil rights movement. Or how about James Farron, who's the Congress Congress of Racial Equality leader. Reyes Triajena, Hispanic activist. Cesar Chavez, of course, Chicano activist, organizer. And then how about Martin Luther King, of course, one of the most famous, who was a activist and author. Speaker, we all know who that is, and he did amazing things. Or how about Gloria Steinem, a feminist and civil rights leader for women's rights. All of those people started by fighting for their freedom, and I just thought it made an honorable mention and say their names, because these people didn't just change the world; they stood up for freedom. Sometimes it doesn't seem like you're being oppressed or you're enslaved until you start to fight for your own freedom, and then you start to realize that there should be no reason why you're being mandatorily made to take something that might be toxic to you. There should never be a rights removal. You should always be gaining rights, not having them removed. And so I want to spend my life doing that. I want to spend my life looking for those leaders and people who are taking something that's quite dark and bringing it to the world, because the world right now is a very dark place. Everybody is very, very afraid of their own shadow to a much degree, and though I'm not speaking down about anything going on, I'm not going to say a name because I don't want to get censored again. I mean, I do live in America, and you would think that we're not censored, but we are. And so because of that, I just realized that you shouldn't have censorship if everything's copacetic, right? And so instead of focusing on the negativity, why not promote and speak their names? The people who had the bravery and courage to stand up for what was right and to do what was just for humanity and to not look back at it. It doesn't matter who you are, where you come from. If you feel oppressed or suppressed, then fight for your rights. Black Lives Matter shouldn't even be a question anymore. All black people deserve their rights. They are everyday people, and they are the cradle of life. And y'all know I get really passionate about this topic. I don't tolerate enslavement. I definitely don't tolerate inequality and gay rights and women's rights. And all of these people who are fighting for water. There's like one man in the charity water trying to do what the world should be doing to get them clean water in Africa, and they are where life began. We have bees dying, which is indicative of what's going to happen to the human race if we don't get our shit together, and it's just like an ongoing slot of negativity. But our choice here, at least with me, is to convert all of those toxins and show the beauty of life. Show the next person who decides to not only be a civil rights leader but also become a painter, or the next person who decides to use their singing voice to uplift lift their gospel choir? Why not look for people who are all about affirmations and all about the joy of life and to reflect God's love back to them? Every person on this planet can be an instrument for God or the devil. It's their choice. Greed, power, hunger, small dicks, all of that are the devil side. Everything having to do with, a better way of life, caring about our planet, everything that has to do with engaging the world in a equal way, those are all God, right? Like, so you can tell the difference. Child molestation, all of that stuff is sin. That's just horrible. There's no excuse for it, and so that needs to go. And so in place of that, we need people who are willing to step in there and spread the word of God, to actually do the work, to return to the poor and to administer the word of God to those people. We need that. We need the beauty and the essence of life, and so that's where my passion is. And so I'm thinking about moving. I'm thinking about Texas, or I'm thinking about Maryland or Arizona, wherever opportunity takes me. I'm let the divine do what it needs to do. I could go anywhere at this point, as long as there's freedom and as long as I can breathe air without being told that I can't because I might get a cold. Well, I'm not afraid of a cold, but I am afraid of losing my rights, and I'm afraid of being held down against my will and being raped by a group of people who just want to take our money. If it's so dangerous, it should not cost any administrative costs. That's a red flag right there, plus the whole thing that I've already said, so I'm not going to go into it. But the point is that our voice carries so much power. Yesterday I posted a really beautiful video that I did about my personal prayer that I go into every day. It's not so much a prayer, it's just me singing songs that lift my vibration and lift my soul and make it hum. And I thought I'd put that out into the world. So as you can see, I take anything toxic and negative and I hold it in space and do what you should do at a leader level, which is convert it into something uplifting, something that's going to bring the world into a unified state, not a divided state. A divided house shall fall, which is what we're watching, and they're going to crumble fast. Like from here on out, this is just going to be really kind of, dare I say it, a little bit fun to watch for all the fake houses and all the corruption that just go down in flames, and we're just going to be like, I know I'm not supposed to take any joy in this, and Heavenly Father, please guide me at the moment, but you know what I mean? Like, I'm going to try really hard not to do that, in fact. But I'm serious. It's like, I rather laugh about it, and I rather bring the joy to our lives and to remind you all that these people did insurmountable things. All we're doing now is just breaking free of the chains and going, wait a minute, why does it cost money for something that you say is mandatory? You shouldn't be charging at all. You know what I mean? But people don't want to hear that. They're so in fear. So, the advice I got from the divine is very simple. Focus on the people who are willing to acknowledge that something's just not right, and then to question things. That's it. Don't worry about anybody else. Everybody who wants to go down this rabbit hole, let them go down the rabbit hole. When the building collapses, everybody inside will collapse with it. That's all I've been said. So I've been told. And so instead of focusing on that, I choose to go outside, and part of the show that I have in mind is raising the vibration of people who I have already a list of people that I have personally experience the beauty and joy that comes from their sacred word. There's a woman out there in the world who speaks the word of God as an evangelical preacher, and I see everybody equal. I can't imagine what she would do in a position of where she was in front of the world. And she's a female, and that empowerment that she is deserving of as a birthright came through her, despite the fact that she's female, despite the fact that they're told that we tell women that you can't be a preacher or you can't be a minister. Yes, you fucking can. And then there's all these civil rights leaders that are coming out. The Black Lives Matter movement is incredibly brilliant. They're not engaging at that low level. They're not fighting with them. They're not doing the riots anymore. We shocked the hell out of them when they didn't get what they wanted. They thought they were going to smite us, and they thought they were just going to come down. Nope. Peaceful protest. That's what I remember hearing every day that I was out there with them. Was peaceful protest. You can't win at their game, but we're kicking their ass as far as rising above their BS. And now we have entire generations from Generation Z on that just does not tolerate the intolerance. They do not go out and get married early. They're not having sex. They're not having kids before they're married. These are brilliant beings. Oh, well, they're not engaged in the world. They are thinking better than we are. We're trying to break free of enslavement. They were born free. And I celebrate them every day. And so everybody who hears this, I don't know who, because it could be maybe one person, but it just takes one pair of eyes, one pair of baby blue eyes maybe, that has the balls to do something brilliant for humanity, where we focus on what started as a tragic moment or something toxic. And then we celebrate the fact that they bloomed into a flower that now possesses God's love. A broken horse, because since we're still dealing with the lynch letters. There are now Pegasuses, is that a word? We're going to go with it. It's Pegasuses that are now going to form and fly over all of this. Not in a grandiose ego way, but in a very humble and kind, uplifting manner for humanity. Isn't that where our brain should be? Aren't you tired of all of this negativity? Aren't you tired of listening to people tell you you're going to get a cold or a virus or whatever it is? Yeah, but God decides who lives and dies. Why are we petrified of it? And it's not like anything that is that unusual for me to say, but why are we so afraid of going to see Dad? What have we done? I haven't done anything that would be that toxic, and neither have any of you, so where's that fear coming from? And meanwhile, you still have to answer the question, if it's so deadly, why are you leaving your kids with no masks? You're letting them to slaughter. That makes no sense to me. And then this administrative cost in the billions, that's just 8 countries. You know what I mean? Let's vaccinate the world. You can't do that. You can't take something. Anyway, I'm not gonna get all political because I already got censored and I already got I already got in trouble. They're gonna close my account and all this stuff. It was just, but I remember just not getting offended by it. It's like, okay, well, you can only do so much. So let's stay on the high vibe instead of being all spiritually warfare. All of that stuff doesn't matter to someone who walks with God, because God speaks to the people that are of worth. They understand themselves, and I understand myself, and I choose to select people and work with people in my life that are drama free and who are trying to mitigate the darkness with their light. People who have already survived and did. Yeah, it was rough, but you know what? It was a lesson learned, and they thank God for their lessons. And those people are the ones that are going to change our world. That's who I want to work with. That's who I want to show on the show. That's who I want to engage in the world. That's who I want you to meet. Sorry, I pointed in my bed. That's who I want the world to meet. You have to understand that if we are in the rapture, if we are in the judgment phase, then acting the worst of our traits and being selfish and all afraid is how you go to the other place. We're trying to get up. We're trying to go up. And so humanity, human rights, equal rights, women's rights, gay rights, black rights, Hispanic rights, once that equalizes, then we will be out of the danger zone. But as long as we stay divided and fighting with each other and all this stuff and not bringing beauty into the world and being like, oh, I'm going to punch you because you're not wearing a mask even though my kids aren't wearing masks, and what are you thinking? And I'm trying not to be like cutting because I know that everybody has their own story in it, but unless we start engaging the human stories, then we don't know why people are so freaked out. We can't administer to them because the churches are terrified of their own boss. Not all of them, mind you, but I'm not casting stones because I don't want to start a whole religious war thing. Even though child molesters, gotta get them out, dude, because otherwise I think you already had an earthquake. Don't. The point is, though, that there are these hypocrisies that exist that are blocking people. You're not supposed to create so much animosity, war, strife, and all of that stuff to preserve something that is supposed to unite the planet, because you've shut millions of people away from it. Now there are millions of people who don't go to church. There are millions of people that... And so you end up, unless we do something, accountable for the fact that you've lost the word of God by corruption. And that's what I'm saying. I'm not casting stones at any one person, but you cannot house child molesters in your churches. Those are child predators. That is not God. And now that the King has returned, you are going to see what that looks like. So that's why I always say to people, where does your loyalty lie? Is it with the house, or is it with the divine, with spirit, with Allah, with God? Because if you're caught in the houses when they come crashing down, then you go with it. There's no other way around that. And that's not casting stones. That's just the truth. And so why not start focusing on the gorgeous girl who does not speak, that's somewhere in the world right now, or autistic person that doesn't know how to communicate well, but they have the voice of an angel and can sing, or that girl who did that wonderful elocution or very elegant speech about global warming, who spoke on TED Talks. Why not celebrate the homeless person who is the next, I don't know, Bocelli, or the next violinist, or the pianist? That's where my mind goes, and I want to work with someone else who wants to bring that love of peace and harmony. Now, don't get me wrong, things are still going to be the way they are, and people are still going to go through the rapture. Like, it's still going to be that way unless we choose another course. And so why not show what that looks like to the world? And that's who I want to work with. I want to work with people who are willing to stop being afraid and put on real programming that uplifts our planet, that does something for our future, that celebrates our children to make them think they have a future. Everybody's so ready to give up into the rapture. What if the king decides when he gets here that 50% go, but the other 50% live? Why not try to be that 50% that go on? Has it ever crossed your mind that not everybody's going to be go with the rapture? I mean, it's crossed my mind. I'm not going. I mean, until God says, hey, it's time to check out. You have a contract. Until I hear something like that, I'm going to keep fighting. And I'm going to fight in the good way. I'm going to fight for freedom. I'm going to fight for love. I'm going to fight for liberty. I'm going to fight for all of the good things. And I'm looking at materialism and go, you're in Karmageddon, people. Like, this is karma. This is like whoever is going into these houses right now, it's going to be karmic. I'm just telling you right now. And so unless you free yourselves and start to actually develop a real conversation with a higher being, are you loyal to the being, to God, to Allah? Are you loyal to... I mean, I got a message the other day about that Gabriel will be coming to some of you and will be asking you several questions. And I had to go to the Quran of all places. I've never read the Quran. And in the Quran, it speaks to Jibril, who is actually Gabriel, who comes and asks Muhammad and Umar a question. I would suggest you guys read what those questions are, because we are at that stage. But what if... Because if you answer the question, then you are what? You're saved. So why are we giving away our freedom to live beyond? It could be 75% of the world could continue on. It's 25% that are going to go. The ones who are stubborn, that don't want to change their vibration, who keep wanting to be materialistic and want to destroy the planet and want to be all afraid and, oh, I can't live, I can't... You can't save someone. Only they can save themselves by finding a higher source. But the rest of us really have an opportunity to branch out and create beauty, harmony, love. Architects out there who are emulations of God, divine, speaking and working within our everyday life. They are the architects that help Him create further and further. Why don't we start focusing on people who add to the universal expansion? Inventors like visionaries like me, who just see the world in a different way, that are helping expand our experience instead of retract it. Because the retracting is gone. They already know that their number's up. But the rest of us, we pass judgment unless we keep doing this. And I don't want to get all gospel-y, because there are people who are much more stronger at it. But my strength is that I don't see the world in the way that y'all are seeing it. I see the world in beauty and love. I live in heaven, and I'm experiencing the same thing you are. Why am I having a wonderful life? I have to the world no money, no blah blah blah, but I see every day the gorgeousness of my own reflection of God and what I choose to produce into the world. I don't sing the best all the time, but I put out there my work, and I create and manifest the joy of God every day that I speak and walk and do my thing. And I go out and I take walks all day long, and I look at the trees, I look at the leaves. Everything is new to me every day. Imagine what your life would be like if you just tried. Stop being afraid. Thank you, Texas. Thank you, Arizona. Thank you, Maryland. Keep going, U.S. You are destined to be the nation that does it. Louisiana. I don't know what y'all going to do with that mayor, but once that's gone, y'all are going to be free. Y'all know what is the golden rule of New Orleans. Don't fuck with my money. They fucking with your money. Y'all need to stand up. Don't riot and all that stuff, because you're playing into their hands. They're trying to get you off. They're going to slam hard on you. So play at their own game. Just, look at their taxes. Look at all of the stuff that they're hiding and take them out that way. Just FYI. I'm not supposed to get all political, but I really don't like Contrell. I don't like her. And that's all I'm going to say on the subject. I went a little bit too far on that one. But you know what? I'm going to be me. I got to be Al. At the end of the day, you got to be you. But if you're the you that presents 99.9% light and beauty into this world, then you have nothing to fear. You have everything to celebrate. And I want to focus on those people who get that. That's it for me, guys. My name is Al Arevalo. That's it for me on Altruistic Channel. Bye. Freedom Train. Woo, 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 woo.